What's up, beautiful people? If you don't know who I am, my name is Lexirosa. I am a student who is getting a Master's of Divinity and a Master's of Social Work. And if you've been following me on YouTube, you know I've been sharing a little bit about my seminary student journey this year, which wasn't always a part of the game plan because I post about other things, but because I'm actively learning things, sometimes there's things I learned that I just really want to share. And today's one of those days. I learned something new today that legit I'm like, that I have to share. So first I'll begin though, before I share that. I'm in seminary because I run a nonprofit called becamebrave.com. Check it out. Go check it out. becamebrave.com. Consider giving. We work with youth that battle mental health, and our objective is to prevent suicide. So we work with students that battle suicide ideation and self-harming, and there's some disparities with the BIPOC community not getting as many mental health services. It's a part of like our culture, right? And so then there's a little bit more behavioral issues or inability to process emotions or emotional regulate and have different belief systems. And so my goal is to help future generations. Sorry. My goal is to help our youth process their emotions, be able to communicate effectively, be healthy leaders, empowered students, kill it on this earth, but don't kill themselves. That's really deep, but I really mean that. So that's my nonprofit. Check it out. But to get into why I started this video, sorry, this is me. The goal is not perfection. I don't know. The goal is just being real, authentic versus perfection. I'm going to choose being real. Okay. I've been learning Hebrew. And I was like, I'm so excited because did you know, so we'll start off with this new information. Did you know that the Bible is written in Aramaic and Hebrew, and then more of the New Testament in Greek? Now you know. So those are the original language that the book of the Bible was written in. So I am learning Hebrew, which looks like this. Isn't that crazy? It's hard. It's challenging because the consonants are different. The way vowels are, they're different. They're under the letters of the consonants instead of like the way we read. And then you also read this way instead of this way. You know how like we read left to right. In Hebrew, you read right to left. But that's not what this video is about. What this video is about is the translation of the Bible. So like I said, the Bible was originally written in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek. Hebrew is what we're going to talk about. Hebrew has 8,000 words within its context and within its language. English, I did some research today, and it said up to 250,000 words. That is so many more. So yeah, as of 2023, they said that there's 170,000 to 250,000 words. So why does that matter? If the Bible was written in Hebrew and it's written a certain way, part of the way that things would be emphasized would be repetition. But you may not have as many words to say the same thing. So let's say the word listen. We're going to use the word listen or hear, which by the way, that word also means obey, obedience. Listen, hear, obey. What is the word? Shema, to listen. If something in the Bible, it was written and it's saying the same line over and over again, it was telling the reader this is really important. This is really important because I've repeated it over and over and over again. But so when the Hebrew text is being translated in English, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good to keep repeating the same thing in our language. So what we would do, since we have so many access to more words in English, we would use synonyms, right? Maybe listen, hear, digest the sound. I don't know. Like we would say things in English with other words to say the same thing because it sounds bad to repeat it. Or, truthfully, the Bible is translated, there might be things pulled out because it's like, well, that was already said. Why would we need to say it again? The problem with that is if the way the translation is done in a way that speaks to our language because it sounds better, it's more poetic for us, but we're not doing the original language, there may be something that we're missing. Because what we're missing is whatever intention the reader had as they were writing this text. There was an intentionality as to the repetition. There was an intention in the way we read it. We're missing what has been being emphasized. So an example I want to give, though, to put this into practice, because I feel like I'm talking kind of like general. Right now I'm learning about the Jonah. And Adonai, the Lord, is very persistent, right? Persistent in like, Jonah, like cry out to Nineveh, like, you know, possibly Nineveh will return. And let's just say that a lot of, or like, come to Nineveh. Let's just say, this isn't hypothetical, this is true, that it's saying like, come to Nineveh, go to Nineveh. Let's just say everything is saying, go, like Jonah. In the English translation, instead of allowing that same repetition, we might translate it in a different way, which means then we miss the fact that God, Adonai, was so persistent in the love that he had for Jonah and in the request that he had to go to Nineveh, which, by the way, it's Nineveh. Why do we translate to Nineveh in English? I do not know, but it's actually Nineveh in the Hebrew language. Kara al Nineveh. Anyway, I'm getting in a Hebrew tangent. I think it's important if you are somebody who analyzes the Bible, because I'm going to be honest, in English, I was over here and I'd be analyzing every line. What do they mean when they said this word and then they said this word? And you're analyzing and like analyzing this text. That's beautiful. That is so good. But I just want to encourage people, you might be missing some context with this instead of getting to the complex, the original language, the original intention, the original repetition, because then you're actually getting a deeper understanding of the character, the intention, the narrative. And so as I'm learning Hebrew, what I'm realizing is I already knew it was important, but like we need to think about the cultural context in which were the things we're reading. But we actually do need to think about who was saying what they meant, and maybe how it was originally said. Because the way we say things back then, how it was originally said, versus how we're saying it now in the translation that we have. So I think it's something to keep in mind, is that our modern language may have these mini alterations in the original language in which it was written. And so for those in seminary who are like, why do I even have to learn Hebrew? Now you know why. Because we can increase in our understanding of Christ, but more importantly, we're able to kind of go back to the intention. Now, I think as a poet, I understand the importance of going back and the intention of the writer, because when I write poetry, there's a rhythm in the way I write. There's a repetition in the way I write. There's a reason I'm emphasizing this certain thing. And if somebody else was going to take that poetry piece and translate it with synonyms, the rhythm might be different. The tone might feel a little different. The breaks and breathing patterns might be different. And those changes actually alter the oomph I may have had in a portion of what I was trying to say. And so I think that's something really helpful to consider. And it also probably helps explain why when some people are like, I'm reading the Bible and it has contradictions, or I'm reading the Bible and like this portion's hard to understand. I want to encourage you, maybe try to get a lexicon or try to go back and find out what are the original Hebrew words for some of the areas that you have challenges, and that might open it up your understanding to actually have these puzzle pieces that fit a little bit more clearly. Now, I also want to note that who Christ is has a very big mystery. And what I mean by that is because Adonai, or because the Lord, is greater than our understanding, there is always going to be this aspect that we can't understand as humans fully, because we are humans. And so God's ways are higher than our ways. The best example I like to give, which is kind of childish, but it's fun, is that a dog, as a human, you have a deeper understanding than a dog does. You have thumbs, so you have a different grasp to be able to grab things that a dog couldn't grab. And so I'm not saying that God looks at us as puppies, but when your understanding is just so much greater, there's just things that we cannot be comprehended. And that's part of the mystery and the sovereignty and the authority of who God is. And so don't get caught up in the trap that you can intellectualize everything, because you literally cannot. That's part of the faith walk. But if you are somebody who's trying to be a biblical scholar, and if you are somebody who's trying to learn more about how to read correctly, I encourage you to consider some of the original writings in which things are written. And I think it'd be cool, because you might be surprised to learn different aspects of God's character that might be a little bit dimmer or less clear in the English translation versus the original writing. I hope that makes sense. Toodles.